Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. I could not go 2 weeks without doing this. You know, the thing that I love the most is talking about Star Citizen and specifically doing this podcast. So, yeah, I am really struggling with work schedule. It's 7:43 in the morning and we're doing a podcast. I basically begged for the first hour and a half of our stream, begging people to come on the podcast so we didn't miss another episode. Because this is what I enjoy. At the moment, especially towards the end of a patch, I really don't enjoy playing the game as much, and I do really enjoy talking about like what the future might hold and things like that. And that's what today's podcast is going to be, your expectations for Star Citizen 3.10. So I want to start out with, let's go back in time a little bit. 3.7, when we look back on it, it was probably the best patch we've had in the last 12 months. In terms of features added, were kind of cool. We had caves and hand mining added, and a couple other things. I'm actually going to just peek over to the roadmap real quick and take a look at it. Yeah, caves, gameplay additions was quantum enforcement, FPS mining, commodities, personal inventories, and ship rentals. That was kind of a big one. And weapon attachments, right? So, like, overall, pretty big patch. They added the Anvil Pisces, the RSI Mantis, and the Vanguard variants and the Banner Defender. Yeah, so, I mean, overall, the features that were added were, they were pretty good. And a lot of big changes happened in 3.7. But more importantly, it was the stability of 3.7 that was great. What actually hurt 3.7 was, the only thing that it hurt was the lack of persistence. They wiped and wiped and wiped our progress. We wanted to play the game and make progress. That was the first time I did anything as far as like getting together as a group went, like big group, was in 3.7. Then we had 3.8, which actually did bring some persistence, but was massively unstable. So many bugs, so many problems. 3.8 was probably the worst patch we've had in 12 months. 3.9 is interesting. 3.9 brought some interesting things to do, but a lot of issues came with it too. So 3.9, I think overall was pretty cool. You know, the prison system idea, I think is a really cool idea, really good idea. Implementation was horrible. So many issues came from prisons, and they're still affecting us now. We're losing components left and right. People are buying chips in game for millions of credits and they're disappearing. Buying components for hundreds of thousands of credits, they're disappearing. Every single time I have to log in, not just to the game, but to a server, I have to reset my account because I have no Mobi-Glass. And before you go into the comments and give me all these advice on how to get my Mobi-Glass back, I've tried it all. It doesn't work. So it's a good patch and a bad patch in its own right. And 3.10 didn't have a lot of marinating time because 3.9 was so late. So what are my expectations for it? My expectations are good performance, but our fun levels are not going to be that high. And the reason why is because, let's take a look at the roadmap. 3.10, mostly, I was taking a look at 3.7 there. 3.10 is, if you look at it, it's all just improvements to things that we already have in the game. AI should act a little bit differently if the AI isn't just T-pose standing on a chair. Improvements to the law system. This might actually be pretty cool, like the electron damage and some of the new FPS weapons, but for a short time. Then we have improvements. Now, these could be really big improvements to the flight model and to the ship combat. We'll have to see. I think it's more important to get those things in your hand. Body dragging. I think that this is something that's like more for the future than just dragging a body now. Like, what do you do when you drag a body now? You can't loot it. You can't do anything with it. High-speed combat, another just, more improvements, right? Reworks, improvements, all sorts of stuff like that. So, with that said, when features get added to a game, they tend to create more instability in the game that we play. So for us, there's not a lot of features getting added. So the hope is that stability is going to be a lot higher. The concern is that we're still dealing with these back-end issues, losing components and stuff like that. And I would guess that most of that work to fix it is done on the back end. It's not done in a patch that we get. So I'm crossing my fingers that 3.10 we're going to have less of those issues, but personally I'm not sure. So yeah, I mean, that's how I kind of feel about this. I'm a little bit worried about everything, and we'll have to see. I would normally say I'm cautiously optimistic for 3.10, but I think this time I'm going to be cautiously pessimistic. I played 3.9 up until like this week and enjoyed it. I did. I had a lot of fun. I didn't run into a lot of issues early on. I started running into a lot of issues later on. I don't think 3.10 is going to last that long. The other expectation, and this is something I'm going to ask every single caller that calls in, do you think we should have a wipe, and do you think there is going to be a wipe? And what I mean by a wipe is all of your credits put back to 0, or like whatever you start with, all of your ship purchases, all of your component purchases, armor, weapons, everything gone. Start from scratch. There's like these big exploits. People are having 500 million credit beacons they're putting out there. Crazy shit. So the idea of it happening, I think, is a possibility. So I figured it would be a good idea to bring up. And without further ado, we're going to start the show. But just a note, if you guys are watching the live stream on Twitch, make sure that you do consider coming on the show yourselves. So !Discord in the chat. You can pop down and join the show that way. If you're watching on YouTube, there will be a link to the Discord in the description below. If you haven't hung out in our Discord before, it's a place that I'm really proud of. 2 of my moderators, when I was only streaming on Twitch, not doing YouTube, not doing anything, really, really pushed for me to have that Discord, and it's blossomed into like this really fun community to hang out with. We talk about all sorts of different games. If you're into flight sims, there's a group of flight sims guys that chat about stuff. And yeah, I mean, just many other games. But yeah, so we're going to get into the first caller here, and his name is Incro. I think that's how you say it. Incro, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Awesome. So, am I saying your name right, first off? Incro?
Yeah, you're saying it right. Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, what are your expectations for 3.10? And obviously, just note, I'm in Evocati, so try not to leak anything if possible.
Yeah. Okay. For 3.10, just like general performance improvements. Obviously the AI work, the ship stuff as well. That's an issue. A ship like going away after you've got them. Components. I had to outfit a ship 3 times, I think, over in 3.9, and that was quite interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
Like a ship combat as well. It shouldn't be so much of like it's like an FPS race almost, if you can shoot first.
Do you think that the changes make that more prevalent? Because right now the combat is like what you said. It's just whoever hits first wins. It's just a DPS off right now.
Yeah. But no, I think these combat stuff will like improve it. Not a lot, but somewhat. It'll make it more fun, I think.
Okay, I mean that's good. In what way?
I mean, like, it won't be some sort of like a short skirmish. It'll be more prolonged because we'll have the SCM stuff involved this time around.
Yeah.
And yeah, it won't be like it won't be like oh, like I'm gonna drop all this stuff on you and then I'm just gonna go. It's like, oh, I can't have to stay here and make sure that I'm actually like hitting on target and stuff like that.
What do you think about
And
the lack of missile changes? Like we still don't have
yeah,
a
that's
we still don't have anything where you can like take off a missile. Like countermeasures still don't work.
yeah, they really do not work at all. It's just like you're like two incoming, fire off a flare, and it'll still hit you. And it's just like, why?
Yeah.
Like it has to be fixed for 3.10. It has to be fixed. Like if you've got these SCM things incoming now, like those will have to be fixed. And like if they don't have it fixed, I think it's going to suck a lot. If you don't have it fixed to 3.10, it's just going to be ugh.
Yeah. Like that's my concern is like you can do all these changes and make them better, but it just always comes down to like what priorities are
Yeah, well,
are what and why, and that's the one thing. It's like there's open development, but it's hard for them to. I always have the struggle with them communicating what's going on because you have to ask the question first for them to answer it, right? And there's no one to talk to when it comes to this stuff for the majority of the community. I mean, I feel like maybe if I make a post on Spectrum and be like, hey, why was the priority this and not something like why aren't countermeasures working? Torpedoes are still a massive problem in the game, and literally the sneak peek from this week's email is a giant torpedo. That's like the biggest problem in the game.
Yeah, it's just
like the disconnect is so insane.
It's just like, why have you done that for? It's just sometimes they just don't like talk to us and should do that more about what they're working on, like stuff that's actually important.
It's because the marketing team has nothing to do with any of this.
Yeah, they just
market. They just know how to sell spaceships, and that's all they care about.
Yeah,
because that's their job, and I understand that. I'm not putting it down.
No, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Let me think. I mean, there's not much else that's being added to the game, really. But what do you think about a possible wipe?
Well, for one, I think it should happen because of these exploits with service beacons.
Yeah.
That was seen. But to be honest, I would think a wipe would be like overall in the best interests of everyone.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a lot of us man, we played. It was a lot of fun. For anybody who doesn't know, I created like this hardcore account, and I worked from an Aurora and bought myself a Prospector and everything. And like the next step was I wanted to take the Prospector, mine a lot, and buy a Caterpillar in 3.10. But if they wipe, I'm not going to be upset because it really is, I think, at this point in the best interest of everybody, if and only if they fix a lot of the back-end issues that we had with losing components and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess, let me ask you this. How long do you think you're going to enjoy 3.10? Is it weeks? Is it a month? Is it 2 months? Is it all the way until 3.11?
I'd say about 3 weeks, depending on how these combat things are, and
Yeah.
then the flight things are.
How long do you typically play a patch for before kind of giving up and
Uh,
playing another game?
about 3 weeks before the next one.
Okay.
That's pretty much how it is, to be honest. Like 3 weeks before like the next big patch. Well, big patch is here, but
Yeah.
like the next patch, really.
So
That's
you
how long I last.
so you think, considering that there's not a lot of huge features coming in, that you've already basically played this patch all through
Yeah,
3.9, you're kind of like,
it's,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It's like, nah, yeah.
I could see that. I could see that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I kind of feel the same way. I'm worried because I had so much fun
Yeah,
grinding
like
in
I had a lot of fun
3.9.
as well. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to like see all this stuff and do all this stuff, but it's aggravating now. It's not aggravating, but it's just not fair anymore. The 3.9. It's
Yeah.
just yeah, it's just not like there anymore. It's not fun playing anymore.
310
3.9.
feels like 3.9.2.
Yeah, basically, yeah, pretty much.
You know, just a lot of improvements on it. So we'll have to see. But all right, Incro, I'm gonna let you go. We'll get to the next caller, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming in. Incro was like the first one that popped in to the show to really get it going today. So, claps in chat for Incro, because we probably wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for him. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, dude.
Thanks.
Have a
Yep.
great day.
I'll see you around.
Yeah. Oh, and if any of you fathers are out there, happy Father's Day. I forgot. I have to remember to call my father today. Yes. Thank you. All right, and bringing in our next caller is Azusa. Did I say that right?
You can say just Alex. Hi.
Okay,
Hi, Mike.
Alex is good. All right, Alex, what's up, man? Speaking of that, I have to change your
I'm
name.
fine so far, I have to say.
So, what do you think about 3.10?
Oh, well, it could be better. It could be worse, I think. Body dragging is good. Also, for me, I'm a search and rescue guy in my org, and turret gameplay is also not could also be nice.
Why is body
if done
dragging
right.
good?
Where how should I say that? I'm in a huge org, and we don't play as the citizen like you, for example.
Yeah.
We do huge events, and I'm a search and rescue guy, and we set the events up like take over a carrack from another group, and body dragging can help for us to practice some things for later in the finished game. So we have the objective to carry out the wounded, and
Gotcha.
yeah, and therefore it's okay for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay for everyone else. I don't know. I don't know if you shoot someone, is he dead and you're dragging, or is he still alive? That I don't know, because I don't play it in months, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm quick to burn out from citizens, so I
Sure.
keep my fair distance.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I asked you is like why, because I definitely prefaced the show today with the fact that body dragging is cool, but it's like the prerequisite for something cool that comes later, like medical gameplay or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So there's not much of a
Yeah,
purpose
of
to it
course.
in 3.9, but I think to get excited about it for what its potential is I think that's the biggest thing that comes in 3.10, to be honest, right?
Yeah, it's not if what they give you, it's furthermore what you make of it.
Okay.
For yourself. We do events, and because of imbalance of ships and weapons, we do ground troops cannot take rocket launcher. So
Mm-hmm.
we balance ourselves in that regard, but in our bubble.
Gotcha. Yeah, what else? I mean, what do you think about the flight combat stuff?
It sounds nice for a start, but I think it's some drops of a hot stone when you know what I mean. It's not enough, but it's a good start if done right.
Yeah.
And I hope they build up on that, and in the future, and in hopefully near future, everyone have a better game.
Yeah, I
in the
don't
end.
think anybody really is looking for, one patch to change everything with combat and make it better. I think
No.
we're all very
Mm,
happy with the fact that they're actually considering working on it and
Yep.
putting a focus on there as long as is that focus is there consistently, and every patch they gather feedback and improve on things, and don't only listen to certain voices but listen to all voices, and do what's best for the game overall and not just certain groups of people.
Yes, but it's nice to see there is progress overall. Also you feel that it's going on and not become stagnant in one of the other regard. Yeah, it's hard to describe. Everything, every little thing that they can do better, it's okay for me. I'm not this blind anymore who I say, oh, I really want salvage this year, or and they say that in the roadmap, oh, this year. No, I'm when they do something good, I'm glad,
Yeah.
and when not, I skip this patch and try the next one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you have the healthiest outlook on Star Citizen. For me, it's a little
I
bit
have to,
different. Obviously,
yeah.
like I'm more ingrained in it
Yeah,
than
yeah.
the average.
That's the main thing. That's the main thing. I can go to play other games, but I'm really quick to burn out on games if they don't have that what I need. So I'm visiting sometimes and showing, oh, is there something interesting? Oh yeah, I have a new flight model. I am interested how the ships feel now. I try a bit, make a few, take part in some events and or org, and yeah.
Okay. Well, the only other thing I would ask, and I think the answer is going to be pretty obvious, is do you care if they wipe or not?
I don't fucking care.
I didn't think so.
No.
Yeah.
I have no really anything. I haven't done anything that I want to keep or I'm sad to lose. But you inspired me to try some prospector mining and
Nice.
set up some ships better, and try them out in some events. And maybe it's fun enough to keep hanging of it and play more.
Nice. Yeah. I think that's the one expectation that we should have from every patch going forward, though, is that, and that's what's sort of disappointing about 3.10, is that I feel like from the advent of maybe 3.7, but definitely what features came into 3.8, was that every patch we should be able to play it longer and longer and longer and enjoy it more and more and more. And that's the one concern that I have with 3.10, is that there just wasn't a lot that came in that would make the game fun enough to play again and again and again. But it might. Those combat changes really might help. So it's just a matter of like, is it going to be more fun to play in a turret? Well, then multi-crew's more fun, and then you play more often with your friends, and yeah. So it really could. But I think that expectation to have is actually fair. So
Yeah, of course.
yeah. So
Yeah,
hopefully 3.10's better.
Yeah, I hope they make something good of this patch.
Yeah.
It improves us maybe for also potentially for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I have a passive thing with Star Citizen. I'm not so I play every day, so yeah, but I don't think my side of it is healthy. I have to, I have to. It should bothering me more that this is so slow. But I hope with Squadron 42 finished, maybe they can ramp things up.
Maybe, yeah. We'll have to see what happens. I mean, we'll
hope
never know until they actually release Squadron 42.
Yeah.
Or more, actually, like if you think about it, it's when they stop adding features to Squadron 42 and they focus more on, I guess, bug fixing, Q&A, that kind of thing. Then you take people that are actually adding features in that game and put them onto the game that we actually play every day, you know? So we'll have to see what happens, but it just, I don't know if that game will ever be finished based off the state of what Star Citizen looks like now.
Yeah, we all have to be patient. You can't do another thing, and let's be patient.
Sure. Totally off topic, but if Squadron 42 is more of like a Last of Us game where the actual gameplay isn't that good, but the story tends to be, would you care? I'm not sure I would.
I'm not so. Also, I backed Star Citizen and not Squadron 42 to be fair. But
Okay.
I'm down for a good story. If the gameplay isn't that good, yes, you can play it. But I'm more focused of Star Citizen, also of the end game, also the finished game Star Citizen. That's mine. I'm a multiplayer guy. I'm a huge sucker for space sims.
Because when people complain about Star Citizen being a $300 million game, the real $300 million game is actually Squadron 42. So that's where I think like expectations are going to be much higher for that, and they probably should be. But part of me like doesn't care, and I'll just follow the story. But I think the gameplay really has to be good, or people are going to shit on it.
Yeah, of course. If they don't make a good game, that's bad for Star Citizen afterwards as well. I think. But when I look at the money they make at the recent moment, it's not that bad. It seems also the Star Citizen side and some of the Star Citizen side you can copy to the maybe Squadron 42 side, as you can make some expectations what to get in Squadron 42 maybe.
Yeah.
And the people are happy. Also people are happy enough to pay them a reasonable amount of money.
$15 million a month.
Yeah.
How? I still don't get it.
Those alien chips.
I still don't get it, dude. It's mind blowing still. I don't understand.
I think two things may change things. One, Squadron 42 is finished and they really concentrate on Star Citizen, or two, the money stop coming in.
Well, and the money's not going to stop coming. So the only thing that has to change is they finish Squadron 42. It's very clear that you're playing one of the worst patches that they've had in probably years as far as frustrations go, because the game was actually in 3.9. The game was what was there should have been good, like going out, doing unlawful missions, going to prison, working it off. Like the whole idea of a lot of the features they added were really cool, but the fact that literally every single aspect of the game had something broken with it, and then on top of that, your account was broken most of the time. I mean, the frustration levels were so high, and they still made that kind of money.
Yeah, I skipped 3.9 completely.
Oh
but
wow!
I think
okay.
my org might open up a fight club in prison or something like that, and played with prize money, something in this regard. Yeah, they had some fun, but I think 3.9 was pretty bad. I hope 3.10 brings a bit more enjoyment.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice. I hope so too. There is something to say about 3.9 with really good stability and no issues is what 310 could be. And then on top of that, hopefully more engaging combat.
Yeah, a better balanced combat maybe, because well, we have still it looks like rocket meta because of the countermeasures and stuff, also torpedoes and such. But yeah, maybe they can fix it somehow.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, we need a miracle. We need a miracle. All right, Alex. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
Oh no, I'm a huge fan, and thanks for giving us so much information, so I don't have necessarily play bad patches.
That's what people say. People say I watch your stream so I don't have to suffer. I watch you suffer so I don't.
That was me who said that.
Oh, it's not just you. There's like 100 of you. Yeah.
Yeah, but I look you and board. I look in. Oh, it's something interesting. Oh no, okay.
Yeah.
I look in a few weeks, maybe then. Yeah.
Well, all right,
Thanks
man.
for taking the bullet for me.
Hey, no problem. Anytime. Anytime. Alex, have a great one. Thank you so much for your call, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully we have you again soon.
Ciao.
Bye now.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. All right, so our next caller is Jab Loca. Jab, what's up, man? Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello. So, what do you think, man? 310 gonna be good? 310 gonna be bad?
I think it's gonna be good for the flight model people.
Okay.
And the people that like fix weapons, I guess, because of the computer assisted.
Yeah. I think nobody's gonna use auto gimbal anymore, because fixed weapons sound like auto gimbal now. Basically, they go, oh yeah, I mean, it basically works exactly like auto gimbal. And you're like, so it's auto gimbaled. Okay.
Yeah, true. I think it depends on the desync as well. If it's still a lot of desync, I think auto gimbal is still better.
Yeah, I mean, we're still gonna have tons of desync. I don't think that's changing.
Yeah, sadly. I also think that people will crash a lot in atmosphere then, because
by crash you mean like smash their ship into the ground, right? Not crash the desktop.
Not crash the desktop.
Okay.
Because people probably will need to relearn how to fly certain ships.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I don't like when they removed hover mode. It was crap, but it could have been.
Yeah.
And hopefully they don't remove all this work, because people don't like to fly their ships like an airplane in atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that it, in some sense, though, like, the devs are going to make the game that they want to make, whether you want to play it or not. And I feel like this is one of those situations where they've made this decision and it's not changing.
Hopefully it's a good decision, because if it is like a hover mode and it's still crap, then it's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
And I also am curious about, like, the mole, for example. It's a flying brick, but it has VTOL, so I wonder how that works in atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly, because they would be like, oh, well, the VTOL ships will do better, and it's like, well, the mole is absolutely garbage in atmosphere currently. I'm really curious in 3.10, is it going to be better? Because the one thing that was always kind of sold about the Prospector was, in its initial sale, it was sold as the planetary miner, when the Orion, obviously the mole didn't exist at the time, but the Orion was the in-space miner, and it would mine asteroids in space. But on the surface, the mole always had its laser pointed directly down into the ground, actually. And you weren't even mining these rocks, and then everything changed. But the idea that they both have VTOL, I still think the Prospector should be that, like, priority ship for on moons and planets. But yeah, I'm curious to see. That's like one of the more, just because like mining's more my forte, that I'm really curious how that all ends up. And we'll have to see.
Exactly, and I also hope they focus a little bit more about certain bug fixes, example, the countermeasures.
Yeah.
Because they have changed a lot about combat, but it should be a priority, countermeasures, because missile spam is still
Ridiculous.
way too easy.
Yeah. You click a button and press a button. That's it.
Yeah,
Where is the skill?
Exactly. Example, the Connie is crap, but it's a missile boat. It still can take out a lot of ships.
Yeah. I find that to be so bad. And yeah, I mean, like, there's some testing that we still talk about, but in our Discord, and I obviously mentioned this before, that we do talk about a lot of different things. And we were talking about missiles yesterday a little bit. And there's some testing that we're curious about is, do missiles fly in atmosphere at their top speed that they fly in space? Because if they do, then, like, I was killed by a torpedo when mining on a surface the other day, and honestly, like, I just heard the sounds of the fact that I was being locked on. I didn't look at the annunciator panel to notice that it was like a radar lock or whatever, and I really thought it was like a bug with Quantanium that it was making a noise when I didn't have any Quantanium in the ship yet, and then I just blew up. And it seems as if the missiles fly incredibly fast in atmosphere, and there's no possible way going 50, 100, 200 meters per second that you're even going to be able to avoid these without countermeasures. And then there's the whole argument that, should torpedoes even be able to lock on to small ships? You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. At the moment, they don't have a difference, and they behave exactly the same. But missiles should always fly faster than the ship itself. That's like in real life.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
That's
but at
why
least
they're
give us
effective.
Yeah, exactly. Give us jamming or something to at least counter it.
The other thing is that cross-section missiles, since the day they were put into this game, I don't know how long you've been playing Star Citizen, but I am talking about for literally years. I've been standing on my chair yelling at the top of my lungs to take these missiles out of the game, because the system has been broken since the moment they put them in. The moment they put these missiles in the game, they broke all of the meta. They were the only missiles that you should use because they are unavoidable with countermeasures. And at this point, no countermeasures work, but CS ones in particular have always been unavoidable. They have never been able, you can't knock them off with electronic, with chaff, you can't lock, or with flares. So the idea of implementing a missile without the system of cross-section, maneuvering so you can make your cross-section smaller, or stealth, or whatever the plan is with that, the fact that these missiles even exist in the game is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and it's just very, very Star Citizen of them. Let's throw something in there,
Yes.
doesn't matter, and not think anything about it for years until it becomes such a huge problem that all the community does is complain, and then they look at us. I swear they sit in their office sometimes and just call us like complainers, but I don't think they actually understand why, And like, that's the reason why.
Yes, at the moment, I think, or at least they shouldn't be removed, but at least just change them to radar or heat. Just change them.
Cross-section missiles should not exist. If a system within the game of cross-sections do not exist.
But I think it's going to be different, because in the flight post, they said they're going to change scanning and sensors.
Yes.
So you can change your cross-section. So I'm hopeful for the future. But
Exactly.
It's CIG, so you never know.
Yep.
And I also am curious how mass is going to be different, because since, I'm going to be honest, 2.6 was not better for me, because ships felt weightless, like paper. And
No,
they
I
still
think a
kinda
lot of
do.
people look back at the old flight model with nostalgia, and they don't realize how bad it actually was.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
Ships
better than
flew-
what we have now,
Yes, it was better,
but it was not good.
Exactly. And in this batch, they said they added a feel of mass to the ship, so I'm really curious.
Yeah.
And especially with cargo, I still hope that adding cargo still adds like extra feel of mass. It does now, but it's still not enough.
Yeah, you don't really feel it, right? And I think the what do you think about this? This is something I should have asked the other callers as well, but you've sort of focused on a lot of the flight model changes over what they did. Do you think the fact what do you think about the fact that they prioritize atmosphere flight over space combat or space flight? Where I feel like most of the combat will be engaged in space rather than in atmosphere, or maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. Why do you think they prioritized it? Does it upset you? Because it upsets me.
It doesn't upset me because they changed the thruster values and how thrusters work, so that also works differently in space.
So it should affect space a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
The jerk thing as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I also think most of the stuff is going to happen in atmosphere because when the Pioneer comes out in 10 years, base building
I think your estimates are a little too early. I think your estimates are a little too early. Maybe 11.
Okay, well, we need to add another 100 million then. But I think most of the fighting is going to happen in atmosphere because bases are in atmosphere.
Yeah.
And you're going to fight in atmosphere.
Yeah. It's just so weird. Maybe it comes down, like, that's so logical, right? And like I can't even come to that super logical conclusion because when did you back this game?
2013.
Really? Okay. So like
Yes.
for me, I did also. I think it was like late 2013, early 2014. I can't even remember. And I bought a space game.
For me, it was December 2013.
I bought a space game.
Same. I also bought a space game.
So it's so weird to like have the focus not be on space. So I'm always like in this box and I have like blinders on, but like you obviously took them off and can see that logic, and I still can't. I can obviously now, but it's hard.
The main thing, planets weren't a thing back then. Yeah, we're going to have landing zones, but that could have been a map, like a Call of Duty map.
Yeah.
But I'm happy planets are here because exploration wouldn't be a thing, to be honest, without fully explorable planets.
Yeah, I mean, I think planets really make the game so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think that CIG also shot themselves in the foot with that because I think performance is also a big problem, and planets are probably one of the main causes of it because they cost so many memory in their servers as well.
Well, and then look at the fact that they're all completely empty, basically. We don't even have the planets that we expect to have in the future, where they have cities and towns and villages and outposts and caves and this and oceans and whatever, you know? We don't have any of that.
I'm still optimistic with that because still single server has to handle everything. If they can split everything up like a server per planet or something and reduce the workload on a single server, I'm hopeful they can add more on a planet. But at the moment, as you can see, they're already at their limit. And that's I also think the reason why we don't have Crusader like as a landing zone as well, because I don't think the current server can handle that, because you already saw what happened when they added new Babbage, how much it strained the server.
3.9 performance is so much worse than 3.8.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say, and I agree with you, it's very hard for me to be optimistic. Just that's my just general personality. It's very difficult for me to be optimistic. But the one thing that I will say is that anything that they have set out to do in terms of tech performance improvements to Star Citizen, whether it was object container streaming, service-side object container streaming, the persistence things that we have now, everything that they've set out to do, the 64-bit precision, they have always, like, a lot of people will say they cannot do it. But that's not true, because they've done it every time to this
Yes.
point.
Exactly.
And I think we have the expectations for them to do it. Now, the one thing that we did kind of get debated on a little bit was the fact that server-side object container streaming came in and performance went down. It didn't go up. It went down. But they also
Yes.
added a lot more to the game in terms of items and things and places.
True, but server-side OCS was never supposed to really up our performance client side. They have said that a few times. OCS was the big client improvement. But I think server-side OCS, we will see the changes when server meshing is in. Not now,
Yeah.
but we shall see. We don't know. They
Yeah.
don't know. That's the thing. They don't know as well.
They don't know. Pipe I
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah, they don't know. But I also think we're not going to see a lot this year anyway, because it's all hands on deck for Squadron 42. And I already expected that last year, because we don't have salvage, because the team that was working on salvage is working on something for Squadron 42. So yeah, we're not going to see new gameplay this year.
Yeah. I think we will. I think we will see, because we have 3.11 on the roadmap. That's the SitCon patch, and then the post SitCon patch is going to be the big one. Do you think we see Crusader this year? I think we do. I think we see 4.0 this year.
Do we want Crusader this year if it's going to mess up the servers even more, to be honest?
Yeah, I think we need to stop caring about the current patches as much, and start focusing on the greater good of the game. And if we have to suffer for 3 months, then we have to suffer. Like that's kind of how I look at it. Is whatever it takes, we need to deal with. And if it takes having a really shitty patch, then that's what it takes.
It's a catch 42 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
They need to add stuff, but it also fucks up our game. So whatever.
Let me kind of take back what I said. I don't expect to jump out of Stanton in 2020.
I do. I think that's gonna be the big end of the year patch that we're gonna get. Maybe not entirely Pyro, but a few plans.
Yeah, maybe. I think that we finished the Stanton system in 2020. But I don't know if I expect to jump. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I'm on the fence about everything. But yeah, what else? Do we talk about the wipes yet? Do we think that there'll be a wipe? Do you care?
I don't care. Just let them wipe. I think when persistence came online, it also fucked things up.
I think they learned a lot from it.
Yeah, they learned a lot from it, but it also, I think I don't know, maybe it messed up the database a little bit. I don't know. But I think they can maybe improve it by not having everything persist, like weapons, med pens, other stuff, ammo. But they already said something in a post like that.
See, that's where I feel like we do need to we need to suffer, man. Like, those are the things that we have to suffer through these hard times for the later times to be better. Let them figure out what's wrong so they can fix it. Don't take things out so we have more fun necessarily. Like, let us suffer a little bit so for the greater good later on.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, they need to make progress, and we're the test bed. That's true.
You know, and yeah, exactly. We're the test bed. I mean, we have to recognize exactly what we are. We're not playing a game. You're not playing a game. You're just giving them information so you can play a better game later. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it, because I want to jump into the game and play the game every day. I just can't.
Freelancer, but yeah, I can't as well.
It's so hard. I try, and that's why I am who I am, because it has beaten me down.
Cargo hauling. I genuinely like it, but it's just too risky dispatch, and I just do combat missions with my freelancer. Luckily, the freelancer is good enough for that.
I still love how the freelancer is like one of the best combat ships in the game. I hope that
It's
this
one of the
mass.
oldest.
I hope this mass thing is what changes that.
Yeah. But the thing is, the similar level, what was the post again? Similar, I can't pronounce the word, levels of maneuverability.
Similar.
Yes. So I wonder what that, I just want to test it out, Wave 1. I just want to test it out.
That's the whole thing. And I said this in my like weekend review video, is reading about flight changes is never good.
No, you
Because
don't know.
You don't know. It's another
Yeah.
it's another Pepe laugh. You don't know, so you just until you play it, until you try it, you're never gonna know how it feels.
Exactly.
And the worst part is like we all know that Evocati's in testing. I don't have my joysticks connected to my other PC that I test on Evo for. So even when it comes down to the flight model, I'm never gonna know how it feels until it goes to the open PTU.
Yeah, I'm keyboard
Because
and mouse,
I'd be
so
using keyboard and mouse, so I don't know how it feels. Like I actually don't get a good feel for it.
Keyboard and mouse is different than joystick. I tried it once with an old joystick, but I still prefer keyboard and mouse.
Oh, I love
It's just easier
joystick.
to transition from first person to.
Yeah. Nah. Well, all right, man. I guess we'll let you go, Jeb, unless there's anything else you want to add.
No, not really. But keeping my expectations low, to be honest, for this year.
Smart.
Until Sparta 42 gets out, we're not gonna get a lot.
All right.
So,
See you in 2023, man.
Yep. Well, 2030 probably.
2030. Yeah. That's better. Better estimate. All right, Jeb. Keep those expectations low. I'll see you later. All right, our next caller. Bad words. Welcome, dude.
How you doing?
I'm doing, man. I'm doing. So how you feeling about 310?
Well, I'm positive, and right now I'm actually I like the idea of the dragging. I think they never really changed the time to kill, so I feel like dragging is as useful as it would be in like a VR game.
What do you mean dragging? Sorry.
The body dragging.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's just gonna be, you're gonna get mercilessly killed either way, and so it's gonna be a moot point that no one's gonna get to you in time.
I feel like body dragging was supposed to be in CitizenCon.
I have a feeling like body dragging is only, this is another one of those, we finally need it for Squadron 42, thus you have it, but we have no
use for it.
It's like, here,
praise
like, us.
I think body dragging is for Squadron 42 to just be like, here, you can't see this dead body, so you can't react to it. You know, just like some stealth FPS gameplay.
Well, or a new FedEx mission. It's like you go in and get something. It's like, but now you have to drag your best friend back.
Wait, a FedEx mission with a dead body, you mean? Are these the new unlawful delivery missions? Just dead bodies?
It's going to be like
that would actually be awesome.
I could imagine them adding like a huge time waster. It's like, okay, you all go in and get this thing, but everyone must come back.
Yeah.
And so every time someone dies, you have to now go back in there and drag their body out.
Yeah.
Make you hate every minute of it.
Oh yeah. That's
and the
funny.
AI is completely stupid the entire time.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to. I'll say this. Now that we're starting to see the lightning weapons and the stun features, I'm starting to see the vision for bounty hunting. I think that, again, because they're bringing it into the unbalanced universe as it is now, adding more CC and crowd control is just creating grief rather than gameplay,
Yeah. I mean, and these are all they kill. They don't really, they have
I
stun.
thought one of them has a stun, yeah.
No, they have stun damage, but there's no ability to it looks like it like punches your, like if somebody's shooting at you and you use this weapon on them, that it will like do a weapon punch so they can't aim as well. And maybe for like a little period of time, it might have looked that way. It's hard to tell from the videos they've showed so far. So it's a lot of that aspect, but they all kill. So they definitely said on the ISC that they're not doing, with these, they don't have like the just strictly stun. They both kill.
But they're going that sort of method of
absolutely
will later involve it. Yeah, so okay, so maybe it's just they're delaying it because they have common sense not to add more CC right now.
Yeah.
Because people would just zap people, just leave their body twitching for hours.
Yes. Like if you've watched me play Star Marine recently, I have one friend who plays with us sometimes, and his account's completely broken. He has no head, he has no armor, he can't do anything. So the only thing he can do when he plays is get behind you, knock you out, take your gun from you, kill you with the gun, and then that's his gun for the game. So he has to knock someone out first before he can even play Star Marine. But he's like super fast, right? And like there's so much desync that you can't follow him. And like the level of grief that can be done with that system already, on top of like a stun gun, which makes it even easier, would be insane.
Well, I mean, no headshots, you know, not being lighter because you don't carry a 15-pound brain on your head.
No, you can still headshot him. His head's there, you just can't see it. It's just funny that he has no head. But still, yeah.
All right. The other thing is, I do like the Grim Hex changes. You know, for me, I've always had this belief that, you know, the underworld is an alternative to the law world. It's not supposed to be hard mode. You know, I get Stanton is the law system, so it should be more difficult to do it in Stanton. But it in itself, it shouldn't be like the, okay, well, you're the PvP gamer, you're underworld. You know, I think law-abiding people should also be the idea of, okay, I'm going to be the police in a underworld system. You're going to have the hard time now. You know?
Well, yeah, and you don't necessarily have to be like incredibly. You don't have to be a murderer to live in the underworld.
Yeah.
Right?
I think at first that was the philosophy, and I think now they're finally starting to understand that's not people aren't picking this because they want this extra challenge. They just want a different way to play. You know?
Yeah, they might like the style of the buildings or whatever, right? They want to role play a certain type of character. There's all sorts of reasons to want to be there. I like that too. What do you think about the scramble races being there? Nobody really played scramble races before. What do we think is going to make them play it now?
I like the idea. I think putting them in Grim Hex is probably not the best place for them. Because again, it's your, you know, like I said, even though it is like a lifestyle, there are enough people who just think that it's Grief Town. Yeah, and will have nothing better to do than to break every single race. I don't think there'll be people on the server who will just make their day, make every race never complete. That'll be their fun.
Yep. Some people's fun is so interesting. But yeah, I agree. And the one thing that was an issue with the scramble races was actually getting them together, because you would accept the mission, you have to fly down to the location. You needed to get a motorcycle, a ground vehicle, or a ship, and have people actually show up that were also interested. I think it'll be a lot different having it at a central location where they might run more often.
I'll say this: I'm actually once I start seeing it, I am kind of interested in seeing how much by design they can expand something like Grim Hex. You know, traditionally seemed like a very small place. But for what they're adding versus where things are, but you climb around and there's all those areas, like broken areas and ducts if you really explore it.
Yeah.
But you know, the idea that you can put that kind of scale in that place and it's still they're not widening it out, they're just using what's there. Yeah. It's going to be pretty impressive to see from a design standpoint, an architectural standpoint. You know?
Sure. I like that you touched on a lot of different stuff than what we talked about earlier in the show. But what do you think about some of the flight model stuff?
well, I always when I do get on the show with you, I always go back to the how I feel like all of their model changes are they're sitting there. It's like, how can we nerf the Connie anymore? It's like, let's see, it's already slow. Let's make it so its thrusters need to ramp up. That's what the Connie needs.
Yeah.
So I feel.
Yeah. I think that I like that. Like, personally, that was the thing that I liked the most about what I read, is I felt I can really comprehend what they meant by that and why it was important. But, like, the idea of turning and instantly boosting is what creates all that slide. So the idea of the ramp up, I think, actually creates more maneuverability. So I think it does the opposite of what you think it would.
Yeah, at the same time, I understand the need for people to, like ESP and stuff like that. Some people need that. I feel like I know there it is a crutch and they're trying to get away from it. But again, I think that...
Then why do they keep adding it in?
Well, again, I think that they can't find a middle ground between ESP and oh my god, what's it called?
Auto gimbal?
When you press V. No, movement. I mean, well, ESP. No, I'm talking about for movement. What's it called when you press V, and you literally have to
decoupled mode.
Yeah, decoupled. Yeah, I feel like they don't have a middle for players between completely like arcade movement and decoupled, and I think they need something in the middle to satisfy somewhat the player base to get that combat where it needs to be, so people can all participate enough and not just feel like that one person has a considerable advantage on the skill ceiling needs to be there, but it can't be insurmountable for a new player or someone trying to learn to fly. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just making the game miserable for people.
It's true. And that would be a good way to describe what we currently play right now. It's pretty miserable combat flight. Or flight combat.
Well, I mean, this patch is... I don't think we've had a patch in a long time where literally people are so... want to landmark how terrible it is by making, like, a pirate called 30K who's stealing all of everyone's loot and stuff, and creating literal memes to remember this, like, screw up.
I renamed my org. 30K INC. 30K incoming. 30K Inc.
What, you were hoping a bug would kick in and all that money would come to you? Is that the plan?
No, I think it's just the definition of our experience in Star Citizen over the last 6 years.
Again, I as far as aiming is concerned, but again, like I'm saying, with all no matter how you make the ships move, between auto gimbal and missiles, it's a moot point right now because literal movement is outside of meta, as it is right now.
Yeah.
So improving movement without removing the aim assisting and auto locking meta is, again, this is one of those things of, to me, it feels like because they're choosing not to balance anything right now, we need this as Squadron 42. This is clearly a Squadron 42 thing. Now, Atmosphere, honestly, I think, again, Atmosphere work is because, yes, you plan to play in space, but again, I think that, we already seen in Squadron 42, you're flying through nebulas, you're flying through viscous space. There are the areas where it's not just empty space there, and I think they want that atmosphere engine so that when you do fly into those areas, the ship has some effect against it. So, like, you're near I remember in you did play Freelancer event, right?
Yeah.
You remember that one system? If you were trying to go into like the area, there was like one system that had a super giant sun, and your ship was constantly being pulled towards the center of the map.
Actually, no. I don't remember.
Yeah, there were systems where it was just full of radiation.
Yeah,
and you had to just get through them. But then there was a system with like a super giant like gravity object, and the ship was always being dragged towards the center of the map, and you had to counterbalance it. I think that's what they are thinking of as far as space and why you would need atmosphere even in space. That they want to introduce that sort of stuff. Even Pyro has a nebula in it apparently. So I could see flying through some parts of of Pyro in space, you would still have atmospheric values.
Okay. I don't buy that so much, but yeah.
Again, we'll see. Right now, like you said, until we see something in space like that, we don't know. But I'm just guessing and kind of working off of what is possible, what they're thinking, you know.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. What about wipes?
Again, I think I have two things for wipes. One thing, I'm for wipes just because right now it's easier to see meta when everyone starts at 0. Because I think they have a huge meta problem every patch. Like every patch, everyone throws everything out and just goes A, B, C, like this item, this item, this item, and this item, and then they go from there. I think that if wipes allowed for Jump Town, where you had even the how to make money meta was so blaringly apparent, even the pirates knew what to do, where to go and guard.
Yeah,
I think that needs to be observed by the devs. And you don't get that if everyone starts with the billion credits every time.
Yeah. That's why the PTU gets boring. People stop playing the PTU through the PTU cycle because there's no purpose to play it because you already have 15 million credits or whatever.
Yeah, at the same time, the game, because of the way ships are, is currently heavily pay to win until they add more stuff. And so I think a lot of people, people who, you know, they're the great majority of people have like an Aurora or a Delta or something. Like
something smaller,
ship,
yeah.
And that's it. Yeah, I think that those are the people who should really be upset when there's a wipe, because those are the people who really have to grind their asses up. I think that there is a point where the pay to win people, I have at least a medium and a large ship. So, you know, I feel like there's definitely a privilege that I could always get into the Karak and go move some crap and then make infinitely more money than a guy in Aurora can.
Yeah.
You know? So I think, the levels of head start are so vast right now. A cat pilot doesn't give a damn about a wipe because they have a cat, you know?
Yeah, like VJR on Twitch says, I'm one of those people and I just don't play. When you say like the majority of people probably have those things, I think a majority of those people do exactly what VJR does and just doesn't play.
Yeah.
They're not willing to play until things are turned on permanently, I feel like.
Yeah, or they're playing because they want to play with their friend, and that's fine. You know, again, that's good. Again, but that's also bad because, you know, it means the game shouldn't be so uninviting, and having that carryover of you know, adding this class tier system. You're almost adding a class tier system when you don't wipe because of how it is right now.
Yeah.
And that you know, again, it's just something that it's good that they test the technology and that they could do it, but I think that as far as that, it's becoming a balance issue in itself.
Yeah. Like, you're not even concierge?
I mean, part of me is a little upset that all streamers are concierge. So, you know, it's that there is a level of...
What do streamers have to do with it? This is my favorite thing about the community sometimes. What do streamers have to do with anything?
It's not that.
Why are we concierge?
Well, it's not that. It's that
it's our job to
there
be.
Is a, well, I don't know why. I don't know
it's
why
our job to be concierge. No,
I think
no.
Say this.
Let me jump in. I know I interrupt people a lot, but it's a streamer's job to show the aspects of the game. And if you aren't purchasing ships and showing off what is new, and when there was nothing in the game early on, so anybody who was a streamer from fucking 2014 until now, they spent a lot of money on ships early on, even on weapons and missiles during Arena Commander, just to be able to show what was available, right? Like, there was a time where somebody bought I think it was like Baron. Baron was one of the only people that had a Super Hornet, and it was the most OP ship in Arena Commander at the time, and he was killing everybody, and everyone was like, "Oh, look at how great he is." Right? It was like one of those things where, like, if you weren't ahead of the game, you were struggling as a streamer as far as things like that went, because you weren't showing off the new and cool thing that people were interested in. That's like your job. If you're streaming this game regularly, you need to be able to show off as many aspects of the game as you can. Like, things are a lot different now, where a streamer doesn't need anything more than an Aurora or whatever. But back then, it was different. I just don't understand, like, maybe you just worded it in a really weird way, but it was just like very. I don't like that streamers are like, what does that, like, why? I don't get it.
Okay, yeah, I think you misunderstood. I'm not saying that it's necessarily a purely detrimental or making it sound like concierge is a curse word, let's say, or a put down. What I'm implying is, again, it didn't help streamers that for the longest time you were even if you weren't concierge, you turned into one eventually with ship giveaways. There was the idea of, again, you're having to buy into the product. You're almost forced to buy into the product when you're literally advertising the product for them. It's a very strange dichotomy with Star Citizen. You know? So yes, so there is, but at the same time, there is definitely a level of a perspective change when you have all the ships and you're talking to someone, and then again, it's always strange to me when a concierge streamer says, no, all you need, I mean, there's, streamers get the sub, whenever they get a referral, they get something.
I think that's the biggest problem now, is now you have streamers making new player guides saying how great the game is and getting 500 referrals, thousands of referrals, and they never use the ships in their referrals in that video.
Like to me, it burns me a little with it goes towards my reputation with the streamer when a streamer who's a concierge who's only flying like large ships is sitting there. Oh yeah, all you need is going to get an Aurora and this little thing, and you're ready to go. You're good.
Yeah. And I obviously know you're not talking about me because I'm not one of those streamers. So.
No, I mean, I think you're very in the middle. You're willing to say what doesn't work, and I think a lot of other streamers. I think some of the larger streamers are almost afraid to do it because they've gotten much closer to CIG.
I have less than 150 referrals. Do you know that?
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's I don't know. I got 5, so I got the 1 tier. I'm happy.
I have there's. I don't want to have like a big ego or anything, but as far as the content creators on Twitch, I have to be in the top 10. And I would bet that I am number 10 on the top 10 list for referrals.
I can see that.
Because anytime somebody asks if they should play the game or they should buy the game or what they need, I tell them the same thing every time. It's not like, I don't know what you're looking for, so it's your decision what to do with your money, but yeah. So, have we gone off topic? Twitch chat said yes. So yeah, we should probably get back on topic.
I'm sorry for pushing the button there.
No, it's yeah, but I think it's just one of those things that really does push my buttons. Is that the Star Citizen community has this inherent hate, and hate is a strong word, so I don't mean it in that context necessarily, for their content creators. I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know if it's I wouldn't do it that way, but you also aren't in their shoes. There's this dislike, sure. There's this strong dislike towards content creators. Like, as soon as one comes in and they're the new cool guy, everybody loves them. Use Morph, for example, right? Morphologist comes in, everybody loves Morphologist, and then Morphologist has been here for 6, 8, 10 months, and now the Morphologist is starting to get hate for both on Reddit and shit. It's just everybody just like gets jealous. I don't know what the deal is, and I'm not saying that's what you're thinking, because I think your point is super valid. Because I do what I do because of the point that you make. I play with the Aurora to show that when you buy all these ships, you ruin the game for yourself. When you play with the Aurora, you're actually playing the game, and it's really fun.
Because I also, again, it's not the streamer's fault. I think I think this is just the next evolution because CIG created these class systems with the concierge, in the thing. I think this is just they segregated the audience. They kind of divided everyone to begin with, and this is the anger from that division that they created being put onto other people, and so that's where it's unfair for streamers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, imagine being able to make money when everybody else has to spend money.
And then
it's obviously going to create a disconnect.
You're literally walking around and seeing people with top hats, eye monocles, and gold armor, like walking around with you.
Yeah. I mean, I have those things, but yeah, it is what it is.
Just to wrap up for you, because I feel like I'm taking too much.
Yeah, it's fine.
The other thing is, let's see. I do hope that did they say anything about if the countermeasures are going to be working better?
No, they never mentioned them at all, and they're the biggest problem in the game.
So it's still a gamble if that's going to be fixed or not in 3.10. All right, because but at the same time, what you were saying, I do agree with you. Missile lock needs to have more factors involved in it. Smaller ship, a bigger ship to a smaller ship, the distance, the size of the missile, that stuff. I understand, considering you can pound an Aurora with a side 4 missile, that should take a long time before you lock it onto an Aurora, Yeah. And I mean, yes, missile boats should have the same. Missile boats should have a little easier, like a miss, because it is a missile boat, or a Connie should have easier ways to lock onto that missile, but it should be at a sacrifice at the same time. But again, the missile shouldn't just be just double click and then off it goes, and you don't have to worry about it. You're guaranteed a kill.
Yeah, when it's not an equal countermeasure in terms of skill. That was the great thing about Arena Commander early on, is you would use missiles which is also really bad. You would use missiles not necessarily early on in Arena Commander to kill somebody. You would use them to distract them and to have them stop firing. Like, you would fire a missile in order for you to get an advantage in the fight, rather than actually kill somebody. Which I don't like that idea. I think missiles... I think it should be a skill to get the lock on, and once you do get the lock on, that they're gonna hit unless you do something about it. And it's hit or miss if they even hit now, and it's also hit or miss if you can countermeasure. It's mostly miss.
Yeah, I think your point is on the nail on the head. I like the idea of a fighter ship. Missiles are a distraction or a variable, and not. Again, missile ships, there's a reason why there are missile boats. Missile boats should be missile boats and feel like missile boats.
Yeah.
And fighters should feel like you're firing at people.
Yeah, I mean, typically what were bombers used for? Like, if we're going to look at, World War II, because that's the kind of style of flight that they really want in the game, is, they were dropped on installations on the ground, and that's pretty much it. I mean, in dogfighting in the real world... Once you get a missile lock, I'm pretty sure that ship is almost definitely dead, but I don't know for sure, because I don't know much about it. But in the movies, you got a missile lock, that was it.
But again, bombers, until they add more larger ships, the idea of bombers and missile boats are one and the same sort of thing. There's very few bomber grade targets in this game yet, and I think that once they do that, like the Retaliator, there's no ship right now the Retaliator is specifically supposed to be going after, that a normal ship shouldn't be going after.
Yeah, agreed.
And
I don't think torpedoes should be able to lock onto small ships at all, personally. I think torpedoes are meant for capsized ships. So I think the only ships in the game that the torpedo should be able to lock onto are Carracks, 890 jumps, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then the other thing you were talking about with the Freelancer and MISC is what do you think about? Do you think that they went overboard with the Reliant changes? Because now Reliants are practically gunboats with size 4 super weapons. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll. I mean, that'll take some balance probably. It's supposed to be kind of a starting ship, but they're pretty good now. You know, I think it's auto gimbals that make that ship really good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm reading your chat at the same time. I mean, they have a purpose now, but I think they lost their utility purpose completely because they've now been overshadowed by the sheer gun power.
What's their utility purpose? Because obviously one of them is a combat ship.
One was like the alternate to the Titan, like where it was supposed to be the do everything ship.
Sure.
I think that's the core is the one.
Yep.
Then the other one is just a, it's just a, RP ship with the news van thing. And then I think the warship, which is the newer, I've never actually seen anyone use the warship. So that
people do, yeah, the Tana.
Well, now they do, Yeah. I think that was the one that did need some help. But I think the fact that it didn't get, those weapons for the Tana aren't special to the Tana. That you can throw them on the core. Now you got the core that can do the same as the Tana can.
Yeah, I think that's where the issue lies. Is that those shouldn't be able to handle those kind of weapons, but with the ability to swap just any components out, you can turn your Tana or you could turn your core into a Tana very easily. You could turn your Aurora LN or your Aurora MR into an LN. Sort of, not really actually, because that's the good thing about the Aurora is that I think the LN has the ability to get two size 2s on there, or 4 size 2s, where the Tana or the MR cannot. So that's like where the progression lies.
And then I guess the last thing is, how many things do you think will probably go wrong with the first when CIG releases the first? They're adding the landing the landing tunnels. How many things do you think will probably go wrong with those when they first start?
Too many.
Like, do you think like we'll be unable to land in the cities because of some weird bug, or just lose ships when the tunnels turn themselves off in the middle of them?
Current workaround. Avoid planets.
Yeah.
I think that's what the patch notes will say.
Or they put those landing windows, but they kick up they bring back the windstorms from the last patch.
Oh god. Just launch you all over the place. It'd be horrible. Alright, lastly before we let you go, where do you think are you gonna enjoy this patch? Are we gonna enjoy it? Is it gonna be is basically 3.9.2 something that we might get a lot of play out of?
To be honest, I would be willing to wait a whole nother year for this patch if I knew this patch was going to significantly stabilize the servers. I don't care if they added nothing else, but just get rid of the 30K.
Here's the thing though. It very well may. But the thing about that is this patch will be stable. But the second they bring in Crusader or this or that or the next big thing, it's going to get unstable again. Just because 3.10 is stable doesn't mean that 3.11 will be. Just because 3.7 was, doesn't mean 3.8 was going to be.
Also, I don't get the whole why they need to add the little. You remember they're adding the gadget store in 3.10?
Bro,
buy little things.
Don't even get me started with that.
Well, I understand because people wanted to collect turtles, so I guess this is just the extension of turtle collecting, of buying random junk and throwing it in a ship.
I don't. The priorities are the priorities.
Anyway, good talking to you.
Yeah, man. I could think of a million things. All right, Bad Words. Have a great one.
You too.
Yeah, man. I can literally think of a million things that they could have done than make that store. But that's one of the things where it's like, I'm sure they have more understanding of what their priorities can be rather than what they should be. So then they choose to do something a little bit smaller and, sort of pointless to us. Maybe there's a point to it. I just have no idea. So no idea. All right, our final caller. Rosian. Rossian? How do you say your name, man?
Rossane, or just Ross.
Rossane. All right. What's up, man? How you doing?
How's it going?
I'm going. So, what do you think? What do you think about 310?
310. The patch notes were beautiful.
We can't talk about the patch notes.
Yeah, not going to talk about the patch notes then.
Okay.
I'm hoping for a big improvement on the flight and the fun aspect of getting together with a friend or two. Maybe it's going out in a Carrack or Hammerhead.
Imagine turrets being fun.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
it's been...
yeah, the whole idea is like the way we always played with turrets before was, all right, I'm pointing at this target, you point at that target too. But the point of a turret is you know, the pilot's pointing at one target, you're firing at another, typically. So
being able to reorient to center for the turrets, huge help.
Sure.
Good quality of life.
Having a proper HUD, I guess, for turrets, like that are meant for turrets and weren't just ported over from the ship HUDs is a big thing as well. I think they mentioned that, right? I think that was something that was mentioned. I don't know. I haven't played Evocati, so I actually don't know. I haven't even read the Evocati notes, so I don't know what's in it. But I think that was in the title or in the post, something about that. But yeah, I mean, do you play with a group typically? Do you play with friends?
Yeah, I got 2 or 3 people that I play with regularly, and sometimes that doubles. We can flesh out a old Hammerhead or
nice
Carrack or something.
Yeah. What about atmospheric flight? I guess we want to touch on that at all.
Really looking forward to that.
Why?
I would say the idea that the shape of a ship is going to give it either a huge advantage or a disadvantage over another ship is another thing to keep everything from being homogenized.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea. I like the idea of having to think about what ship you're going to use for the mission, I guess, at hand. If you're going to be, trading between a planet and a space station, for example, the idea of thinking about what ship you're going to be using to trade, I think, is kind of cool. Like the Caterpillar isn't the end-all be-all answer anymore.
Yep.
I like that.
It's exciting. I mean, as much as a small patch like this can be.
Sure.
It's little iterations. But, like one of the things that keeps coming up is, what's the point of flying this ship over another ship? They're pretty much all the same. You can stick this many of this size of gun on whatever. And now we're starting to see, well, okay, it's going to fly a little bit differently. Down the road, maybe we'll get the physicalized armor and bullets won't penetrate as easy. The older, less techie ships will have a purpose.
I mean, Drake will never have a purpose, but yeah.
Drake will never have an eject seat.
No. I'll never... In a game with permadeath, why would you ever fly a Drake ship?
The red, though. It's good for friends.
But you can't eject.
Yeah. But if you're doing the ground fight, another thing for the patch is the FPS missions. Anytime we roll out, we're like, all right, we need a med bed. Maybe now we can drag people back to it or something. But it's at least for the respawn.
I am looking forward to the future that body dragging brings. Obviously, this patch, it doesn't bring much, but they can do so many goofy, fun, stupid things with this. And all of those words are positives. is how I look at that. You can get, you could pass out, you can get sick, you can get tired and whatever, and you drag them to a bed and heal them. You can knock your friends out, drag them and put them in some weird place, and they wake up and they have no idea where they are. I think it'd be fun.
That's very much my cruise speed. We'll end up tossing someone out an airlock when they're not paying attention.
Oh yeah, like I totally want to knock somebody out in a ship as we're leaving the atmosphere of a planet and just throw the person out, and when they wake up they're falling down to the planet's surface. Like totally RP, like piracy, walking the plank kind of stuff.
Yes.
It'd be awesome.
Exciting.
Oh yeah. I mean, it can get fun. It can get fun. I don't know. Well, I guess the only other thing that we really touch on are the wipes. Do you care? I mean, the overall like thought process so far is people don't really care.
I do, in the sense that like I find it to be a really big pain to grind out several 100,000 to spec out a ship or a couple ships if I'm being cheap about it, and then have that disappear. It's bad enough with all the character issues that, like you're experiencing. You character reset, and all the armor, guns, half of the ships, which half you don't know, are going to be reset.
Yeah.
So if we can get a wipe that gets us to the point, because like 391 was so nice on the PTU.
It's always nice on the PTU.
And then it was awful. And it sounds like that disconnect has a lot to do with just, the legacy junk that's still in the database.
That's what tech debt is, right? When people say tech debt, that's what they mean?
100%. But if we can get a wipe that clears that up, and we don't have to do character resets constantly, I'm all for it.
Yeah, like I'm totally cool with being like, just absolutely brutalized and punched in the face every time I play the game in 3.9, so I don't have to in 3.10 or 3.11. What I hope is that we look back at 3.9 and go, remember that? Like we do when 3.0 came out. Remember when logging into the game for 5 minutes was like an epic achievement? Like we look back at that and laugh, and now we complain about 2 hours. Right?
I legitimately didn't play it for several years because of the performance issues.
Yeah, sure. And our frame rate was 20, and now I complain about, I still get like 30, but yeah. So what I really do hope that we look back at this current situation and go, remember that? That was funny. Remember when every single time you logged in, you had to reset your account because you never had a mobiGlas? Yeah, that was hilarious. So we learned from all these mistakes now, and it's better for the game in the long term, but sooner. The long term comes sooner if we suffer more now, I guess, is the way I'm looking at it.
I guess I don't feel like I'm suffering overly much. It's broken. It's busted. Mm-hmm. Everyone I say you should come play with me. I'm like, this is the most busted alpha you're ever going to play, and it's also one of the most fun games. Getting together with friends, you can do stuff in this that...
I mean, the screenshots you can make.
Yeah, did you see the misfire machinima?
No. I can't watch that stuff.
It was gorgeous.
It
wasn't particularly well done, and it was jerky, but it was gorgeous.
I'm sure. I can't bring myself to watch that stuff because I think that stuff creates a false representation of a lot of the time of what the game actually is, and people, the amount of takes it took to probably make that thing was endless. And people see that stuff and then they create these expectations like, oh, this is a really fun game, I should go in and play. And then they do, and then everybody hates Star Citizen and thinks it's a scam. It's because all the stuff that people put out there is so good looking and positive and great that the actual experience gets lost in that. And while the actual experience can be fun sometimes, it just isn't. It isn't necessarily ready to be experienced. I think what the people that play the game, the only reason we're there is for them to gather feedback off of us. We're not there for our enjoyment. We do happen to enjoy the game when we play. I definitely have enjoyed the game through 3.9, which was one of the worst patches we've had. But in general, yeah, I can't watch that stuff.
All right.
Yeah,
I kind of share a little bit of that in that, like, it's sort of a collaboration. They're doing the part, implementing it. It wouldn't work if we didn't have people testing it out and iterating on it.
Absolutely.
Finding out what's broken.
Absolutely.
So, like, that's coming along.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said earlier in the show, is like for the first time, I really have the expectation of the fact that the game should be something that you can play longer and longer and longer and enjoy more and more and more every patch until we get to the point where I think you can actually call it a game. I don't think we're quite there yet. I think it's definitely still something of a tech demo, or you just call it a alpha or whatever. I think we're still in that stage quite a bit, but for the 2020 and the end of 2019 was the first time that I really felt that the direction they were taking and are taking still is the right one and is positive.
Mm-hmm.
As difficult as it can be at times, I've never felt so optimistic about things.
Yeah, I could see where that would definitely be the turning point, I guess.
Yeah.
In the last
Last
few
9
months, for me, like the last 6 months or so, I went from that stage I said not playing much because of the performance. Upgraded my PC, wasn't really happy with just flying the Aurora around. And you mentioned, playing Star Citizen, you're missing out if you don't fly the Aurora.
Not just the Aurora, but I think you miss out on what the actual game will be. I think that people that buy spaceships, like buy certain fleets because they want to have a certain fleet to be able to try everything from day one. I think they're missing the whole point of the game. I mean, CR has said that the main upgrade path is ships, and you're literally skipping that entire. You're skipping the entire game essentially.
I think it's very good to have that other perspective of what those ships are like, and like these free fly events can really help people once they get used to the bigger ships and realize, hey, you don't have any guns if you're just a pilot.
Yeah.
Then it makes these other smaller ships a lot more fun to go along with.
Sure. Yeah, I just think I don't know, I just like the typical MMO, which does have a bit of a grind in it, and I like the idea of that being a thing, personally. So the idea of grinding from an Aurora all the way up to like a Carrack should be difficult, but should be rewarding in the end.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I'm old school MMO gamer, so
yeah, and in a perfect world, the people that bought all those spaceships, we would all start in the same place, but that's, the world's not perfect and the game needs to get funded, and that's how they decided to fund it, so here we are.
I think a lot of people may look at it from the missed gameplay portion, but one guy I felt like put it best. This game is heavily being funded by a lot of this generation's model train collectors.
Yeah.
Except they get to collect spaceships and fly them and
exactly
live out that dream instead.
Yeah, like I don't think those people are ever even going to be playing the game they're not going to be the people that play the game. They're going to be the people that, you know, they go out, they get their outpost in like the most safe place area where it'll never get raided by somebody or whatever. And they're just going to look at all the pretty things that they've earned, and they'll probably continue to buy UEC so they can buy rare items from the people who actually worked for them in the game. And those people are important for MMOs too, right? Like, those are the people who grind sell shit to. So, yeah, it's just the way it is. But, yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add before we end the show? You are our last caller.
You know, I want to see more missions. I want to see more of the jump, the microtech mission they demoed before. I want to see that come out. Those are the ones that really take things to the next level, and you can replay.
I agree.
Show off.
I agree, but I'm also of the idea of I don't care if they don't put any new missions in the game, really, until they're dynamic. I want to see what the dynamic Star Citizen looks like. I don't care about this current Star Citizen.
All right.
You know, like somebody in chat, Asus Raid says, you can only do those set piece missions so many times, you know? Because they're kind of the same thing. And the idea of, yeah, you know, you may do a bounty mission hundreds of times, or you may do a delivery mission a number of times, but when they actually make sense for what's going on in the world around you, I think that changes everything, you know? And that's just kind of the feeling I have. And yeah, I just don't, I agree with you. I want more and more and more missions, but I feel like if they wait until the dynamic mission system comes out and then work within those parameters, I think we will get those more and more missions, and they will be better because of it.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Let me let you go, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me on. It's a
hey,
great show,
anytime.
man.
Yeah, thank you, and I appreciate it. Like, pretty much everybody that came on were first-time callers, so thank you so much for doing that. So I appreciate it, and we hope we have you soon, because you guys were all great callers. Thank you.
All right.
Later. So, guys, that's going to be it for this week's Answer the Call. I'm really happy we were able to do it. Like I said, a bunch of new callers, a bunch of American callers, which is this early in the morning, I'm really surprised. Because I have seen people in the comments been like, oh, you know, you do it so early in the morning, you mostly get Europeans' perspectives, and Americans might be different and stuff like that. Maybe you should do it later in the day, but, you know, we didn't have to. I guess it was doing it earlier in the day was better. But yeah, I thought this was a really good show. I'm so happy we were able to do it. And yeah, I mean, I guess I'll leave it there. Leave a like on the video. That's been very important, I've noticed. And yeah, comments below. Let me know what your expectations for 3.10 will be. And if you guys haven't yet, hop in Discord. If you're watching live on Twitch, !Discord in chat. And we definitely hang out and talk about all sorts of things. Mostly Star Citizen, but a lot of other chat groups in the Discord are very, very active. We even have an anime one. I've never looked at it because it's too weird. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, hopefully we can get these ATCs out sort of consistently. Bye, everyone.